Welcome guys to this video. So I'm just going to briefly go over how to structure your Meta Ads account. And we're going to predominantly use this for e-commerce. So it's going to be set up for e-commerce. So the way I like to do this is, let's go over to here one sec. So this is a sort of structure that I like to see. And the goal with what we're trying to do is we're trying to find a winning ad that we can iterate from. So a winning offer or winning creative. The way Meta used to work is it used to be really focused on your interest targeting. Now, with my own experience, that doesn't really work much anymore. It's all about the offer and the actual creative itself. So this is how I've been running it for a long time now. It's worked with my brands, it's worked with many other clients' brands. And the way I like to do it is I like to have what I call a creative testing campaign. Now, this is usually an ABO campaign. So what that basically means is you control the budget at the ad set level rather than at the campaign level. So within each ad set, we have batches, and within those batches, we have all the creatives, and here we can test the different offers and the different images. So what I'd like to see is, for example, let's use this one. So it's image batch one. Okay, so we have a minimum £20 per day budget, and that's roughly £5 per ad, right? It's not always the case. Sometimes an ad performs a lot better and it takes up most of the spend. But in a lot of cases, it evenly spends roughly. And then what we're doing is we're just trying to find a winning ad. And once we find the winning ad, we can then put it into what I call the scaling campaign. And this is an Advantage Plus. But before we do that, we need to keep testing. And if you don't have any winners, if you don't get any sales within the first ad batch, well, all we do is we test another batch with 4 new ads and 4 new offers. And we're basically just trying to keep going until we find some solid results. And you can do the same thing with video. I'd recommend splitting images and videos because it's a lot easier to manage. And we can do the same thing. Now, depending on where you are and what budget you have, I always recommend testing images first because they're a lot easier to create and they're a lot cheaper to create. When it comes to videos, this is where we need to invest in UGC, higher quality equipment, and they're a lot more time consuming to put out many ads. To do lots of videos, it's going to be very time consuming. Whereas images, you can pop out these, you can create batches. It's a lot easier to get testing, and you can kind of find what works with the images first, and then we can look at testing videos. But by all means, if you've got the budget, you can start testing video straight away in a separate batch. So yeah, I mean, that's how I like to do it, and this is what I find works quite well. And then you can always mix and match things as well. So if you find, for example, an offer that worked really well, well, why not test that same offer with different images or different videos? Or the same the other way around, right? If you find a winning creative, a winning image, let's test different offers on that image to see if it improves. We're basically just trying to keep test until we can find the best combination between the two. So let's head back to this campaign. So this is an ad account that I'm working with, a client of mine that it's not been running too long. It's a fairly new ad account, so we're still early doors. We're trying to find the best creatives, the best offers, optimize the websites, things like that. So what we're essentially doing, if you look here, I've got my testing campaign and then I've got my Advantage Plus scaling campaign. So within that testing campaign, you can see that I've been testing different batches. We've tested a few different images, different versions. We've tested different videos. The videos haven't really worked. We've had a couple of sales, but they've been far too expensive. So at the moment, the images seem to be performing. We've had one sale yesterday. We had one today. We've had a couple over the weekend. And they're all bringing in quite a good ROAS at the moment. So yes, today is a 3 at the moment. Yesterday was a 2. So what that basically means, guys, is every pound you put into ads, if it's a 2, you get £2 back. If it's 3, you get £3 back. So obviously the goal is to push that ROAS up as high as possible. And yeah, that's how we scale. But the way I've been doing this, if you look here, So this is the image batch three. So you can see here, some of them are performing okay, but we have one outlier, which seems to be the one that's bringing in most of the content views. So Facebook is actively pushing this ad at the top a lot more. Some of them are not even spending, and you often see this depending on your budget. The budget might be a little bit too low, it's only £30. I'd recommend if you are testing this many, just pushing that budget up slightly if you can, or taking a few of these out. You can see already I've turned off a few because they just didn't perform. So another thing to point out, like when we're setting up our ad accounts, so what we want to do is we want to create a custom columns, because I like to see the journey, right? It tells a story by seeing where we lost the customer. So we have all our normal things at the start, like our impressions, our reach, our frequency. But when it gets to about here, so I'll show you how to set this up in a sec. But I like to have content views. I like to have the cost per content view. So this basically means how much did it cost for a customer to land on our website and view the product, okay? And then next in the funnel, think of it as like a funnel. We have our link clicks, we have content views. So this is people actually landed on the website and viewing the product. And then we have next in the process, which is add to carts. So we can see here we've had one add to cart today. And then the next part of the funnel is checkout initiated. So, they add to cart, they went to checkout, and this is where we often lose people. But next in the process is obviously purchase. But for some reason, on this ad account at the moment, the pixel has not recorded the checkout initiated. So sometimes this happens, the pixel can't record all the data, or there might be an issue somewhere. But what we're essentially trying to do here is see where the customer has left the store. So we can kind of see that they're coming onto the website. We're getting really low cost content views, which is good. 70p is pretty good. And then we're getting an add to cart. But if you look here, you can see 25 people came onto the website, but only one added to cart. So that could be many reasons. It could be maybe the website needs optimizing, maybe the offer's not good enough, maybe the product they don't actually want, or it's too expensive. Could be many different things, right? Maybe they don't trust the website. So this is where we can start to look at improving the website, because maybe the ad isn't the problem. The ad is bringing people over to the website really, really cheap, but for some reason there's friction between them arriving on the website and purchasing. And that's where we can start to look at optimizing the website. Quite often, the ads aren't a problem. It's very common that the website or the actual product or offer is the problem. A lot of people spend too much time focusing on the ads when really, the problem lies somewhere else. So it's easy to get caught up and think, oh, my ads aren't working. I need to improve the ads. But in most cases, the ads, they work, right? We just need to improve the other areas. So yeah, I mean, the way to do the columns, guys, is you come up here, you can do columns. So I've just made a customized column. You can just set a preset. So if you look on the right here, these are all the ones I've got added. But if you want to add the ones I was just talking about, we can come into where is it? Conversions, so standard events. And then as you can see, we want to add to carts. So we want to do the total and the cost. We want to add checkouts initiated and then the cost as well. Content views, and obviously purchases as well. And then I add return on ad spend. And then to customize them, you can just drag them around on here. So put them in order. So content views, add to cart, um, checkout, and then purchase, and then ROAS. So if we have it in order like that, we can kind of follow the journey and see where the problem is. So yeah, and then basically what I'm going to do from here is, once we're going to carry on testing this ad, we're going to run it for a bit longer. We're going to see if we can start creating iterations from that ad, maybe a similar image, maybe it's the offer that works, maybe it's the image. We're going to basically just test that same image with different offers on it. So if I show you the text that's on the actual offer, So as you can see, it's basically a retainer cleaner. So I'm not sure why this ad seems to be doing well. Maybe it's because it's quite bright. It could be the text. You know, we've got a strong offer on there, so the 30-day money back guarantee plus free shipping. So yeah, we're just going to keep iterating that same image now, see if we can squeeze any more profitability out of it. And what we're going to do then is we will put it in a scaling campaign, which is your Advantage Plus. So this is Meta's AI algorithm tool, which you basically put it in there, you set a budget, and it quite often performs really, really well. There's been some problems in the past that I've noticed, but recently it seems to be performing really well. These sort of this sort of setup, and then really, guys, here you can add in. So you can add in really multiple different winning ads, and you can just control the budget. And it's really good for scaling because you can just, if it's profitable, we can up the budget by around 20% every few days. And if it continues to scale, then that's brilliant. If the ROAS starts to starts to fluctuate and it starts to come down, well, this is where we can start to look at decreasing the budget or keeping the budget where it is. But I'd recommend don't increase it any more than 20% at a time because it can sometimes throw off. And yeah, sometimes it just doesn't perform well. I find 20%, like small increments every few days, that seems to work fine. And I'd also recommend doing it in the evening as well. Not Don't ask me why, just for some reason I've noticed if you adjust the budgets and any ads in the evening, for some reason it just seems to like that. It might just be me, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's really it, guys. We're basically just trying to set up a structure that makes it easy to keep on top of your ads and test things properly, right? We don't want to just throw ads up on a random campaign. We don't really know what's going on. We don't know what's working. If we have this sort of structure where we're testing in batches, if you're not getting any sales for, let's say, I'd recommend running these sort of ads for at least 5 to 7 days, because sometimes what happens is, you might not get any sales, any results for the first like 3, 4, 5 days, but then all of a sudden, you know, the weekend um, it might sort itself, and then for some reason, loads of sales come in. So don't run an ad for like a couple of days and just shut it off. We need to test it for the full process, and for that, like I said, I recommend 5 to 7 days at least. So if it's if it's performing extremely poorly, then obviously I'd recommend turning it off. Like if you're not getting even any clicks or anything, there's clearly a problem, right? But if you're getting clicks and you're getting add to carts, leave it running. So yeah, and then like I said, we just want to test different angles. So we could look at testing a problem-solving angle. So here's the fix. We could look at testing a lifestyle desirability angle. So imagine owning this. Social proof, others are loving it. And then an offer slash discount sort of angle. So you can't miss this deal. Maybe we do like a special deal, like buy two, buy one, get two, sorry, buy one, get one half price. We could do discounts like 10, 20% off. We could do what's been working quite well is if you offer a digital product alongside your physical. So you could offer like a free PDF ebook. You could say free ebook worth $9.99, and the customer perceives that they're getting a lot larger of a deal. Sometimes that works really well, depending on what product and if it's relevant for your niche. So yeah, just keep testing, guys. Keep creating new batches, testing 4 at a time minimum, if you can, depending on your budget. If you've only got a £10 budget, then maybe you only test 2 a day. But the more we test, the quicker we're going to find what works, and the quicker we're going to get to the point where we can actually start scaling and making some money. So a lot of people give up there because they start testing ads, they don't see any results, and they just blame Meta for being a massive money pit. Now, Meta is extremely powerful and it can completely change your business overnight if you get this right. So it's just going to be a testing process, guys. And it's also the data that we collect as well. So when we start getting orders and we start to build up our own data, we can actually use that data to input back into Meta, and we can create what we call a lookalike audience. Now, what this essentially does is it finds people similar to the people that have already bought from you, and it goes away and it finds a group of people that are like that group of people that have already bought. So it's more optimized and it's more likely to give you better results. But at the start, guys, we don't have an email list. This is the best way of doing it. So yeah, I mean, that's it for this video, guys. I hope that helps in any way. And if you need anything, reach out, give me a shout, and I'll be happy to jump on a call and we can go through it. But until then, I'll see you later.